Listen, I love homemade brownies just as much as the next person, but sometimes you want chocolatey goodness that's quick and easy. But with so many boxed brownie mixes at the store, how do you choose which one is best? Let's put it to the taste. Welcome to the Taste Test, a show where our team goes above and beyond testing ingredients so that you can make smart decisions when you shop. Today, we discuss the good, the bad, and the fudgy by tasting one of America's favorite desserts, the boxed brownie. As a professional baker, I've tasted my fair share of brownies and baked countless brownies for other people, but no shame here, I still use boxed brownie mix. It's fast, convenient, and delicious. Brownies should be chocolatey with a crispy, crackly top and a moist, chewy middle. Boxed brownie mixes at the store do a great job of this, but they're not all created equal. We narrowed down our tasting lineup by looking at well-known, nationally available brands. Most brands offer more than one type of boxed brownie mix, but one brand, Betty Crocker, offers 6 types of boxed brownie mixes. In cases like this, we reached out to the companies and asked them what they recommend we taste or what their best seller is. Then we made each mix according to the package instructions. Here's what we learned. The simplest boxed mixes have similar ingredients to homemade brownies: sugar, flour, cocoa, salt, and a leavener like baking soda or baking powder. But unlike homemade brownies, boxed brownie mixes also have ingredients like palm or soybean oil, corn or tapioca starch, dry milk, and the ubiquitous artificial ingredient. The easiest mixes call for combining oil, sometimes water, and an egg or two before whisking by hand. Some mixes require extra steps like melting butter or chocolate. One box even calls for a stand mixer. If you ask us, this totally defeats the purpose. We want to be able to whip up chocolatey brownies in between episodes of a binge watch. Hauling out a stand mixer and cleaning the parts does not factor into that equation. So some of these were easier to bake than others, but we're here to answer the most important question: how do they taste? At America's Test Kitchen, there are several steps we take at every tasting to ensure that we get the most accurate results. First, we randomize the samples to eliminate selection bias, and then we assign every sample a 3-digit code. We also add a control by picking one brand and duplicating it. If these two samples rate differently, we know the test was flawed. For this tasting, we made sure that the brownies were served at room temperature with the edges cut off to standardize the pieces. I'm an edges girl myself, so I had a blast snacking on all the trimmings. Finally, we have over 20 tasters pooled from pro cooks to regular people so that our data will have statistical significance and a range of expertise. And talking is not allowed so that tasters can't influence each other. For this tasting, here are some of their thoughts. First, brownies should be chocolatey. Every mix in our lineup contained cocoa powder, a common ingredient in chocolate desserts. Since it's powdered, it has a high proportion of flavorful cocoa solids. All but 2 brands contain Dutch cocoa, which is darker in color and provides deeper, earthier notes than natural cocoa powder, aka non-alkalized cocoa. One brownie mix that contained only natural cocoa was paler in color and a little lacking in chocolate flavor. When shopping, we recommend that you look at the ingredient list and look for boxed brownie mixes that contain Dutch cocoa. This might also be listed as cocoa processed with alkali, depending on the brand. Our favorite mixes got a chocolatey boost from ingredients like chocolate syrup, chocolate chips, and even espresso powder. These ingredients provided impressively strong chocolate-forward flavor, so keep an eye out for them at the store. When it came to texture, the brownies ranged from fudgy to cakey. Most of the brownies in our lineup were fudgy, and tasters loved their moist, chewy centers. Tasters did not like brownies that were sticky, dry, or one that was a little gummy. Betty Crocker. Some brands engineered that crackly, crispy top, and our tasters loved it when they did. So, after everything we learned about boxed brownies, it's time to put our test to the taste. Joining us today is Review's Associate Editor, Valerie Lee Stack. Val, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I have a really hard bar for brownies because I used to live right next to a bakery that had the best brownies ever.
What do you look for in a brownie?
I'm looking for interesting texture between the crackly crust and the moist interior.
Okay.
I like a fudgy brownie, obviously,
Sure.
like everybody else does, and it has to be chewy, has to be chocolate forward. It has to just be really nuanced without being too sweet for me.
Okay, yeah, I agree with everything you just said. So I think we're on the same page for brownies. Of the 8 brands that we tasted, we are going to try 4 standouts today. So let's start with A. It's been a while since I've had these, but this is your first time having them, right?
Yes.
What do you think?
You can definitely taste the chocolate in it, and it has a pretty good texture. It's very chewy and fudgy.
I think so too, and I love this. You can see the crackly top. Is there anything that's lacking in this brownie?
I just personally wish it had a tad more bite on the top part of it.
Okay.
Because it's kind of a bit too consistent throughout.
So this one is Ghirardelli Chocolate Supreme. And our tasters scored it a 7 out of 9. So highly recommended. They loved this one. And it is our best supermarket mix. I'll tell you some of the comments that the tasters made. Tender, very chewy brownie, which we said. Tasters also thought it had a strong chocolate forward taste. One taster said, this is chocolate heaven.
It definitely was for me.
Okay, cool. Let's try B.
Ooh, I really like this one.
Yeah?
It has pretty interesting contrasting texture.
Okay.
It's got a crackly top and it has that brownie characteristic shine.
Mm-hmm.
The middle part is really tender and fudgy,
Yep.
which I like a lot. The flavor is on point. It's chocolatey, it's nuanced, it's great.
Yeah.
Love it.
I like this one too. You can actually see that it's darker in color than some of the other ones, and I think that corresponds to the chocolatey flavor. Is there anything lacking in this brownie?
I have no notes.
Ooh, okay, no notes for B. All right. This is King Arthur All-American Brownie. So our tasters also scored this a 7 out of 9, so it tied with Ghirardelli, and we named it our best mail order brownie mix. So if you want some of these, you can order them online, but you can pick these up in the grocery store. So best crust, crackly top, which you said, a tender, very chewy brownie, super fudgy and moist, and then one person said exactly the flavor I'm looking for in a box brownie.
That person could be me.
Yes. Okay, so let's move on to C.
Were there chocolate chips in that?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting. And the chocolate chips add a little bit of more chocolatey flavor, kind of bring it out more.
Is there anything you don't like about them?
I think the appearance is lacking a little bit. It looks more like a chocolate cake from the look of it.
Yep.
When you compare that with A and B, it doesn't have that nice, delicious shine, but it's fine because it tastes good.
Right.
It's definitely a little cakey though.
Okay,
Like a chocolate
yes.
cake with chocolate chips in them, which isn't a bad idea.
No, it's not. I have to say, I disagreed with tasters on this. I'm a brownie purist, and I don't like chocolate chips in my brownie. I know, but I just want a fudgy brownie texture throughout.
Okay, well, I mean, you do you.
Okay, do you want to find out which brand this is?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
all right. Trader Joe's.
Woohoo!
And tasters gave this a 6 out of 9. So just below our winners. Tasters thought it was dense and fudgy. Oh my gosh, Val, are you sure you didn't do this? Wish it had a crackly top, then it'd be perfect. I feel like they're reading your mind, or you're reading theirs. Chocolate chips inside, heck yeah, super chocolatey, probably one of the most intense flavor-wise. No, I'm not going to rethink it. I'm a purist. It's fine. But I am glad that people liked it. It was great. So overall, very solid brownie. And one person said, okay, now we're talking. Are you ready for our last brownie?
Yes, of course.
Great.
This guy's a little dry, huh?
I don't think your face likes it.
This is reminding me of like, you know, when you had an internship and they had like a goodbye party kind of thing. That's the kind of brownies that they bring to the goodbye party, like a little potluck lunch thing. Ugh.
So like a familiar...
Yeah, it is familiar.
Okay.
But is it gonna be the kind of brownies I'm gonna be looking for now in my 30s? No, not really.
Okay. So what don't you love about it? So is it texture? Is it flavor?
Okay, first of all, the texture is really dry.
Yeah.
It's kind of crumbling. Like when I take a piece, it's falling apart. It doesn't have a lot of structure.
Okay. So
And-
compared to the fudgy ones we tried at the beginning,
Exactly.
would you say it's cakey?
It's like a dried cake.
A dried cake. Okay.
Like a 10 days old cake, maybe. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that brownie.
Okay. What about the flavor? Did it have good chocolate flavor?
It had zero chocolate flavor to me. It was so sweet.
Yeah.
It's not something that I gravitate towards.
Okay, so I think this is something that came up in our tasting. There were brownies that were really sweet and brownies that were chocolatey, and sometimes they overlap, but not all the time, right? So some sweet brownies had very little chocolate flavor, and then there are some sweet brownies that had really great chocolate flavor, but sweetness without the balance of a deep chocolatey flavor is kind of a bummer in a brownie. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So this one is from Betty Crocker.
Duh.
So the Familiar, does that help? That
It
might be
does.
the Familiar brand. So it scored a 5 out of 9. And here's what our taster said. It was mild chocolate flavor, sweet, cloying, barely taste of chocolate at all. Typical boxed brownie. They totally agreed with your judge of the brownie. So Val, if you had to rank these from your favorite to your least favorite, what would they be?
I think my favorite would be King Arthur,
Okay.
followed by Trader Joe's.
Really? Okay. So you really liked Trader Joe's.
Yeah, I think it has the right texture.
Okay.
It has the chocolate chips. You
Yeah,
can't say
yeah.
no.
Okay,
The
okay,
chocolate
yeah.
chips.
All right.
They're so great. Followed by the Ghirardelli.
Okay. And then Betty Crocker in last.
Yeah, sorry, Betty.
Here are the reviews team's official results. Ghirardelli and King Arthur tied as our top choices, with Ghirardelli winning Best Supermarket Mix and King Arthur winning Best Mail Order Boxed Brownie. Our next choices that we can recommend are Trader Joe's, Stonewall Kitchen, Pillsbury, and Duncan Hines. Rounding out the lineup, Miss Jones and Betty Crocker are recommended with reservations. We also tested Annie's, but it has since been discontinued. So Val, when you're at home, is there anything that you do to jazz up your brownies to make them a little, like your box brownies? Is there anything you do to make them a little bit better?
Absolutely. I use nuts, I use sprinkles, I use marshmallow. They actually turn out
Marshmallows.
really well to balance the dark chocolatey, almost a little bitter-ish
Okay.
flavor.
Yeah.
So I do love them. And
Great.
also I use rum. Like
Rum.
a barrel-aged 7-year-old rum.
Oh my gosh.
Beautiful in
Okay.
brownies.
That sounds really good. So one tip that I absolutely love that we learned when this was over actually is that you can add espresso powder, or some of these call for water, and instead of using water, you can use coffee. So coffee flavor, I think you know we've been working at ATK for a while and we talk about this a lot. Using coffee flavor amps up chocolate flavor. So it doesn't actually taste like coffee. You get a stronger chocolate flavor.
That's such a good tip. Thank you so much. I'm gonna go home and bake my brownie with coffee.
Awesome. Okay, so that about covers it. Thank you so much for being here. And I think we can stop eating brownies now.
Speak for yourself. I have more research to do.
What's your favorite brand of boxed brownie mix? How do you make modifications at home? Let us know in the comments.
And since you made it this far, be sure to like this video, click the bell for notifications, and visit americastestkitchen.com for reviews on your favorite ingredients.
Thanks for watching the taste test. We'll see you next time.